The quick pitch, spun out toward left center field. Peralta coming on, so's Hayward, they won't get it. 2-run single for Bryson Stott, and the Phillies lead it 3-0. Fly ball left center field. Hayward's going back, he's not going to get it. It is gone! Slipped into the seats, a 2-run home run for Castellanos. And the Phillies increase their lead. It's 6-2.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Phillies Talk. It's Phillies Talk Podcast, June 11th, 2023. It was Father's Day at the ballpark today at Citizens Bank Park. Hope everybody that went to the game had a wonderful time. Of course, the real Father's Day is next week, June 18th, but the Phillies, of course, will be on the road, and they're going on a West Coast road trip. But before I forget to mention it, the Phillies had a great victory in Philadelphia today on Sunday, June 11th, against the LA Dodgers. They beat them 7-3, and that's exactly what the Phillies needed to do after getting blanked on Saturday night, 9-0 by the Dodgers in the middle game of the series. And of course, the Phillies took the first game of the series, which was Friday night, 5-4. They edged the Dodgers, came back in dramatic style with who other than Kyle Schwarber with a home run in the bottom of the ninth inning. Wow. Phillies jumped all over the Dodgers, and that was great to see. The Phillies now have a 19-11 home record at Citizens Bank Park, and that's awesome. It doesn't get much better than that, unless you're the Tampa Bay Rays, of course. But it was a great way to wrap up a homestand for the Phillies today. On the Father's Day special, all men in attendance, 15 and over, got a Father's Day cap. I was supposed to be there, but fell under the weather in the past couple days and actually listened to the ball game from the beach. So I guess there's worse ways you could listen to the Phillies, being kept up in a room somewhere, possibly. But yeah, from the beach, it was pretty nice. Warm winds down there, nice warm ocean water coming in on me, and a beautiful Phillies victory. So it was very easy to take this afternoon. The 7-3 beating of the LA Dodgers. So always feels better when you win. And it's always better to do a podcast when you win, because you're a lot more positive during the show. There'll be no major rants from me on this show. And just some accolades. Look at Nick Castellanos today. Had another great game, 2 for 5 with a home run. It was a decisive home run. The Phillies were up 4-2, and it looked as if the Dodgers were going to crawl back into this game. And he put the Phillies up 6-2 with a 2-run home run that cleared over the center field wall. Just put a nice graphic up on Twitter about that home run, breaking down the Nick Castellanos home run. And incidentally, in case you were wondering, that would have been a home run in LA too. There's a great graphic that you can use from MLB Film Room, which if you go over to my Twitter feed, which is at Fight Phillies, you can see that graphic that I put up earlier in the afternoon. It was a bottom of the 7th home run, 407 feet distance. The wall is 382 feet away, believe it or not, right where he hit the ball. So this graphic gives you the launch angle and all that stuff, and it's sort of a descriptive graphic, which is pretty cool. But yeah, it does measure the home run in the opposing ballpark as well. So it does say that it would have been a home run in both LA and, of course, Philadelphia, which it was today. Bryson Stott had a great game. All I heard was Bryson Stott doing things on the radio broadcast. He was 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs. The guy's a catalyst. When he picks it up, the Phillies do well. I've noticed that. He hits these little bloop singles. Again, he reminds me of a Larry Boa from the mid-70s and 80s on this Phillies team, mainly the 80s so much. But he was up there to get a base hit, was Larry Boa. And Stott's about the same way. He's not always up there to kill the ball. He'll settle for that bloop single when you have 2 men on, and he's going to score guys for you. He's batting .292 right now, Stott, and he had a wonderful game. I mean, this game, Kyle Schwarber was 0 for 5. He was a non-factor in this game. I know this month is his, and he came through on the first night with the decisive home run. We needed him to come through, and he just sort of just measured this bat out, hit that ball, and launched it over for a home run to win the game for the Phillies. So I can't say too much bad about Schwarber, but he did go 0 for 5 today in Sunday's matchup. His batting average is 171 as well. So he's probably one of the guys that is batting the lowest batting average, but having one of the greatest seasons for the Phillies, believe it or not. And that can be done in the same sentence. But another player, of course, today, Trey Turner, a big game against his old team, the LA Dodgers. He was 3 for 5 today. Didn't have any RBIs, but he got on base and scored 3 runs for the Phillies. So how about that? That's awesome. Way to get on base, Trey Turner. Whatever you have to do to help this team win is fine with me. Now batting .248 on the season is Turner. And back to Castellanos. He's batting .312. Hit his 8th home run of the year today, and what a great home run it was. Wow, he's really come through for the Fightin' Phils this year so far. You could see a night and day difference in the way he's sort of carried this team sometimes, especially today. Brandon Marsh, 2 for 3. Didn't have any runs scored today, though. Stotty scored 2. And the Phillies team runners in scoring position today, 4 for 9. So whenever you get a nice number like that, 4 for 9 base runners they scored, chances are the Phillies are going to be doing something pretty well at that point. Taijuan Walker got his 6th win of the year. He's now 6-3. He went 5.0 innings, 0 earned runs. That was the key. He kept the Dodgers, and this is a dangerous Dodger team. He kept them at bay, 5 strikeouts, and only 2 walks on this wonderful start by him. I want to call it his best start of the year. Taijuan Walker here against the Dodgers. Came up big, and the Phillies need a starter to come up big after what happened to Aaron Nola last night. There's a lot of dejected looks in the dugout, including from Nola. I don't know what quite is wrong with him, but he's just not the same pitcher that we've grown accustomed to rely on anymore. He's just not the guy this year, and he came out of the ball game last night. The score was still fairly close, but, you got to look at things on a whole. And the Phillies didn't hit well last night. They haven't been hitting well sometimes when he's on the mound, but I can't blame the offense every time he starts. It's just something, I don't know, maybe it's that contract thing. Maybe he says it's not bothering him, but down deep in his somewhere, it's obviously something that's maybe concerning him because he's getting balls up. He's not got the same zip on his curveball and things like that he used to have. He's just leaving too many balls over the plate at middle level lengths, and they're getting yanked out of the ballpark left and right. I'll go over some of the starting pitching numbers in just a second. But listen to this Dodger lineup that Taijuan Walker faced today. You got Mookie Betts. By the way, after the game, Mookie Betts and Bryce Harper exchanged jerseys. They both signed one another's jerseys. That's pretty cool. Big multi-million-dollar guys, $300+ million a piece there, signing each other's jersey and exchanging them at home plate. How cool is that? Personal stuff there. Freddie Freeman was next up at bat. Freeman probably has hit the Phillies the hardest of any opposing player, and I'd have to do some research to back that up. But over the years, I think Freddie Freeman has probably hurt the Phils most of a batter at Citizens Bank Park. The guy's been incredible. He hit a home run today, another home run, and he went 2 for 4, scored a run. The guy hasn't skipped a beat since leaving Atlanta. I know there was a lot said that he wasn't happy leaving Atlanta and things like that, but he certainly seems to be settled in with the Dodgers right now and seems very happy to me. So Will Smith, catcher, next. Muncy, very dangerous hitter, was a non-factor in this game, thank God. JD Martinez, you might remember him from his Red Sox days, a non-factor, 0 for 4. David Peralta, his battery mate, also formerly of the Red Sox. I think the LA Dodgers ordered half the Red Sox team. You got Betts, Martinez, and now Peralta on the same team here. It's almost comical that those guys are all together now on the Dodgers. Rounding out, Hayward, he's been somebody that's probably overhyped to the max and not worth the money that was paid for him all these years. Went 1 for 4, thank goodness. Didn't hurt the Phils today. Rojas at short, he's just a fill-in, 0 for 3, a non-factor as well. So the Dodgers leave town. They leave a series win to the Phillies. Couldn't be more happy over that. Wish I was at the game today, but like I said, being a bit under the weather, didn't feel like making the trip up to Citizens Bank Park. So Phillies with their 32nd win of the year. They keep flirting with that 500 mark, and one of these days they're going to get it. They're playing great. They had a 6-game win streak that they got blown out last night and lost 9-0. Starts it over again for them, so they're at 1 now. But that important series win for them as they go out onto the West Coast trip out for 4 decisive games out in Arizona. And the Arizona Diamondbacks are playing great ball. They won their 40th game of the season this afternoon. And the Phillies will be playing them at 9:40 p.m. local time, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then an afternoon game on Thursday, which is 3:40 p.m. Then the Phillies go out to Oakland to face the A's for a weekend series out there, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Friday in Oakland will be 9:40 start. Saturday's game is scheduled for 4:07 p.m. And then Sunday's game out at Oakland is scheduled actually for the Philadelphia time at 4:07 p.m. as well. So late start out there next weekend for the Phillies, East Coast time, that is. And then the Phils will come home and play more NL East opponents. How about those Atlanta Braves coming in? Believe it or not, for the first time, this is almost a crime. June 20th, the first time the Atlanta Braves will be in town to play the Phillies in a season. It's going to be a hot series. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, June 20th, 21st, and 22nd. And then, don't blink, but the New York Mets will be in town June 23rd, 7:05 p.m. June 24th, supposed to be a 4:05 p.m. And then June 25th, 1:35 p.m. So bring it on. NL East opponents, couldn't be more happy to play the NL East. I'm kind of getting perturbed at the schedule. This is another West Coast road trip for the Phillies. Their third West Coast road trip that they'll be on, and it's only mid-June. I mean, this is kind of ridiculous, if you ask me. A lot of games out there so far. The schedule is, I'm not a big fan of it. I told you I wouldn't rant too much about today and this great victory from the Phillies, but the schedule that the Phillies are playing is a little bit left to be desired, with all these different oddball teams that they're facing this year, with the MLB changing up everything and having each team play one another at least one time in the series. So in the season, rather. Well, let me take a small break here in the podcast, and I'll come back in just a minute and tell you how to enjoy some pizza and see some MLB Phillies players and ball girls. Be back in a moment. All right, folks, you're back listening to Phillies Talk Podcast. It's the longest running independent podcast talking about the Philadelphia Phillies. Started way, way back in 2006. Almost at the beginning of podcasting is when the show got its launching. And wow, it's already 2023. So 17 years have gone by with this podcast talking about the Phillies. So hope you're enjoying it. Rich Baxter again here. My co-host, Matt Veazey, I haven't been able to catch up with him yet, but one of these days I will. Hopefully one day early next week, or maybe even next weekend, we'll catch up and we'll be able to review what we've seen from the Phillies, because I know Matt's astute follower of the Phillies. He has a great Twitter feed over at Phillies Bell. I want you to give him a follow over there and check his Twitter feed out, because he tweets a lot about the Phillies, a lot of history stuff, and always good stuff from Matt. So Matt, again, going to catch up with you one day here for the podcast. So back to the show, and I was telling you earlier about a chance to meet up with some of your favorite Phillies. And here it is. Here's your chance. If you're down at the Shore on Wednesday, June 14th, from 4:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at the 9th Street and the Boardwalk, you're going to have a lot of things going on. It's Phillies Day at Manco and Manco down there, which is a pizza shop that, prior to me stop eating pizza, which I've put that on hiatus for a couple of reasons in the past year or so, my favorite pizza was Manco and Manco's. It just has a distinctive taste to it. It was down from Ocean City, New Jersey, and they opened a nice store up at Citizens Bank Park this year in 2023. Of course, I haven't enjoyed any of it, but I remember the taste very well. It's very delicious pizza. I can recommend it 100%. And well, this day anyway, on June 14th, you'll be able to meet the Phillies ball girls, and they'll be giving out some fun Phillies prizes to win throughout the event. And fans will also be invited to receive autographs and take photos with the 1993 National League champions, Milt Thompson and John Kruk. Also, of course, Phillies broadcaster. And it was nice to meet Mr. John Kruk that I had a chance to a couple of weeks ago on a tour at Citizens Bank Park. And he, had a quick conversation and a little photo, but it was great to meet him. He's a very nice guy. So go down to the boardwalk on Wednesday, June 14th from 4:30 to 7:30 p.m. And the players, by the way, will be there 5:30 to 6:30. So check it out. Spend as long as you can down there. And then the Philly Fanatic, of course, will be down there as well at 6:30 p.m. And he will be down there making pizzas at 6:30 p.m. So he'll round out the festivities down there 6:30 to 7:30. And great time is going to be had by all down there, down at the shore. So Ocean City, New Jersey, Wednesday, June 14th. A lot of fun down there at Manco and Manco, 9th and the boardwalk in Ocean City, New Jersey. All right. Well, just to recap on the Phillies, decisive victory today. It was awesome to see a sold-out crowd of 44,287 fans filled the ballpark today on a Father's Day, a week sooner than the real actual Father's Day, but 2 hours and 44 minutes was the time of game. And I had said a few times on this podcast that I wish the games were closer to 3 hours, and I still do. That's my sweet spot of a game. If I'm going to a game, I want to at least spend 3 hours at the stadium. I don't want to have to, get there and feel like I'm leaving an hour later, because when you're at the stadium, of course, things seem to go by twice as fast. And then before you know it, the game's over. So there was some talk about the pitch clock fastness in Philadelphia. There was an article in one of the Athletic, Matt Gelb had it on why the Phillies games at Citizens Bank Park in particular seem like the pitch clock is way too fast. And there's been other teams to agree, not even just the Phillies are thinking this. Other teams that have come into town are also experiencing the same thing. So it's something I think that they need to tweak at Philadelphia. They're a little bit too regimentated in what they're doing, I think. Every click of a second that goes by seems like it's occupied with something down there. And we saw some frustration by Aaron Nola the other night when he tried to throw a baseball out. He didn't like the ball, and then the umpire tried to tell him, oh, you're not allowed to do that. Oh, you're not allowed to throw out a ball. He wasn't just trying to waste time. He just didn't like the baseball. I mean, things like that, injuries, everything seems like it's rushed and accelerated, and you don't have time for that. That it's ridiculous. Mini rant over. And back to the end of this podcast. Bryson Stott today hit his first triple of the season and his first since August 19th, 2022. So that was an awesome performance by him today. Trey Turner, as I said, he collected a few hits today. His 17th multi-hit game of the season and his 5th with 3 or more hits. So the guy's starting to turn it up a little bit for the Phillies. I know a lot of people were frustrated with him. They wanted to send him away, trade him in, and not have him be a Philly a couple weeks ago. They were booing him at home, and things have turned around. He's turned up the stove a little bit. Maybe he's gotten a little more acclimated to his surroundings, that sort of thing. But Trey Turner seems like he's back for the Phils. And it's a good time to be back because the Phillies need him. They're just a game under 500 as of the time that I'm doing this podcast. And I'll do some stats for you to round out the show here for this podcast. I know I've been trying to get more podcasts out for the listeners, and, drop me a line, rich@fightingphillies.com. Check out my website, fightingphillies.com, of course, and the podcast. You can sponsor the podcast, find the main page for it. You can sign up for that sponsorship. And just by clicking some ads on the fightingphillies.com home site will help earn some money for this effort. So appreciate you doing this. A lot of green, a lot of winning in the last 10 games for the Phillies. Great to see as they head out to a tough Arizona Diamondbacks team. Let's take a look at the batters for the Phillies first before we do the pitching. Leading the batting average, of course, Nick Castellanos at 312. Home runs, Kyle Schwarber with 17. Despite his 171 batting average, he's got 35 RBIs on the season. And runs batted in. That title is being held currently by Nick Castellanos. He has 38 RBI so far here on June 11th, 2023. So that's your top 3 batters. For the starters, the earned run average, your best is 3.91, and that's Zach Wheeler, who has 4 wins. He's got 87 strikeouts in those 4 wins. The number of wins, the highest total so far is Taijuan Walker. He won his 6th this afternoon, and he leads all Philly starters with 6 wins. His ERA is 4.67, and he's got 58 strikeouts on the year. And your leader for strikeouts, of course, is Zach Wheeler, 87 strikeouts. Let's go down to Aaron Nola here. We'll see. He leads the Phillies in innings pitched at 88 innings pitched. His record is 5-5, and his current ERA is 4.60. So even though he got roughed up on the loss on Saturday night against the LA Dodgers, he's still hanging pretty tough. His last 7 days, he's 1-1. And his last 7-day ERA, he's 4.05. So he is hanging tough. Hopefully things will turn for him for the better, and he'll start racking up some wins for the Phillies. We know he's capable of doing it. Gave up 7 hits on Saturday night, 6 runs and 6 earned runs. So, he got tagged with that loss, and the Phillies ended up losing the game 9-0. But so Nola could stand some improvement. We'll look for that on his next start out west, and look for the Phillies to continue their winning ways. They're just a little bit away from becoming a better than 500 team. And right on top of them, believe it or not, is the Miami Marlins. They've really turned it up. They've won 2 in a row, but they're at 37 wins and 29 losses right now. It's a young team down there in Miami. They hold second place so far, and Atlanta with a nice lead on everybody, 40 wins and 25 losses. So Phillies have a long way to go up to catch Atlanta. They're 8 games back behind them currently, but they are on an upswing, and that's a good thing always to talk about. Well, thank you for listening to this edition of Phillies Talk Podcast. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the podcast if you listen to it on Apple Podcast or Google Podcasts, wherever you listen to this. Please hit subscribe and go to my home website, which is fightingphillies.com, and also my website at baseballtalkradio.com. It's a site that I created with 35 to 40 of the best independent podcasts on baseball you can listen to at any time. And I even have a 24-hour-a-day, 7-day-a-week player at that site at baseballtalkradio.com. Don't forget to visit the advertising in that. It helps pay for a little bit of the costs of it. Not asking for much, folks. But if you can hit an ad or two every now and again, I would appreciate it. Everyone have a great week as we near the official Father's Day weekend next week. Thank you for listening to this edition of Phillies Talk, and talk to you very soon. Take care, everyone.